Another edition of Wings Weekly starts now. Jake Lenknecht here and head coach Scott Langer joining me. Coach coming off a split with Minot, but a little bit different look. First of all, I wanted to start with the guys on the bench, basically, and what it means to you as a head coach to be able to have the confidence with Coach Stepan obviously stepping in, and then having a guy come in that's basically helping out when you're unable to be on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, super confident. I mean, we spend a lot of time together, and the three of us talk a lot of hockey every day, and I think Steps did a great job, and he's a good young coach that understands the game of hockey. Obviously, he had a great playing career, and he loves it, you know what I mean? So you knew his energy level was going to be there and his confidence was going to be there, and there was no doubt in my mind, he was going to do a good job. He did a great job both nights. And
when you bring in somebody like Greg Larson comes in, and he's kind of thrown into a tough spot in a sense too, but again, to have that resource has got to be pretty like I said, it helps the confidence, but you know who what they bring to the table.
Yeah, with Craig, he's been doing it a long time. We're about the same age, and he's been doing hockey as long as I remember. So, it's great that he decided that he was going to come help us and not have Coach Stepan have to run the entire bench. But Craig did a good job in studying the team, and he knew the players, and he knew where they had to be and when they had to be there.
Well, and that actually leads me to my next question before we jump into the weekend's games. But your vantage point, your view of the game is a little bit different when you're not on the bench. When you're not, can you dissect it a little differently?
Well, yeah. I mean, the game slows down quite a bit.
Yeah.
When you're not having to worry about your next shift or two shifts ahead of that, and I think it was good that I got the opportunity to watch our team play for 2 nights and to kind of see what areas that we were good at and what areas we need to polish up.
Right. Well, and that leads us into to the games. 4-2 loss on Friday. You score first. Power play went 104. PK allowed 2 on 5 chances. What'd you think of Friday's matchup?
Well, I thought the first period was really good. I thought the second period was not so good. And I think, penalties added up at that point and kind of took our focus away from where we really needed to be. But when you look at the analytics behind the game, we controlled the play 65% of the time. But when they shot, they scored, and we didn't, So we didn't change a whole lot going into the next night, but we just seemed to be able to score. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's funny how that works. You have a night like that, and tough time on Friday, and obviously we were able to open it up on Saturday.
Well, and that's been the case, it seems like, for the last, 4 or 5 games at least, where you're out shooting. The possession is great. It's there. You're controlling the puck. There's a lot of good things, as we've talked about in weeks past too. And then Saturday's game, of course, like you mentioned, a 6-1 win with the power play going 2 of 4, one of which I think was right at the final second as Minot came off the bench right across the blue line, right as the final second on the power play was going, ticking off. But you go 2 of 4 there, and then the kill was perfect. It was kind of funny, fastest goal of the season, 15 seconds in, and then the slowest too, because that one that Minot shot, it just barely came across, because I think Zachary got a little bit of it, or a lot of it, but it crossed the goal line. That's all that matters. But I was watching it, it was almost like slow motion, just barely coming across the goal line. But like you said, you found ways to score there, especially in the third. It almost seemed like you guys were able to stay patient and just wear them down, kind of, and then it was like everything just broke open on Saturday night there in the third.
Yeah.
You gotta like what you saw.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was Teddy Bear night, which is important to this organization, and guys were excited to participate in that, and to get it out of the way 15 seconds was great, so they can just focus on the game. But played really well, didn't give a whole lot up for the first 2 periods, which allowed us to capitalize in the third period. And they play their lines a lot of minutes, and we tend to play 4 lines and utilize our depth, and I think that really helped us.
Okay, I was thinking about this a little bit, and in the years watching you and your interactions with players and the game itself. you don't really seem like you've got a whole lot of time for sympathy and excuses from players. I mean, you expect a level of performance, of a level of respect for the game. You and I have talked about that before, about the game, but also the players that have played it for years and years past. Where does that come from? Is it from the way you were coached when you were playing, or like I said, is it maybe because of the respect for the game?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's my game as a coach obviously evolved over so many years.
Sure.
I can remember back to my first game ever, but I just feel like we owe it to the game. I always felt that way.
Yeah.
You owe it to the game to play it the right way and to not take it for granted. And it's a warrior type sport, and you have to be a warrior in order to be successful. And the more warriors you have, the better chance you have to win every single night and maybe get a championship.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. But like I said, I know that you're a guy that if it's not there, they're going to hear about it or whatever. There's not a lot of excuses, certainly. But and another thing I wanted to talk a little about toughness. Often you and I talk about physicality and how important it is in a game and how what it can do. Where a guy wants to get rid of the puck a little sooner because they're afraid of getting hit after they've been hit over and over and over or whatever. I wanted to flip that a little bit though and talk about the other side of it. What if when your guys are getting hit? There's a mental toughness that's involved there too, isn't there?
Oh, for sure. And it goes back to the warrior game. Taking a hit is just as important as giving a hit, especially when you're asked to hold on to the puck or make a play under pressure. But physicality is, we talk about it, it's a system in hockey that's not very much talked about that way. It's just about, hey, let's go out and knock someone's head off. But there's way more than that, whether it's taking a hit, giving a hit, the reverse hits, and eliminating guys' hands physically, so they're under duress and they can't make plays. But mental is really important. I mean, if you let a guy go through you and it ruins you for 5, 6 a period, shifts or period or 2 periods, obviously they've done their job.
Yeah.
And, no human being wants to get hit with anything. Like, that's just what we are. But you need to embrace it, and you need to make sure that next time you're not taking that hit, you're giving the hit.
It's just watching that game, particularly Saturday night, Friday night too, of course, but it occurred to me that, it is, to be able to stand in there and know that, or, for example, putting bodies down in front of the crease and know that they're coming at you. They're gonna try to push you out of there any way possible. You're gonna feel that, the 2 hands on your back or your shoulder or whatever, and to be able to stand in there and say, I'm gonna take this, for the team, so to speak, in kind of a cliche, but it's a real thing, and not always easy, for sure. All right, we had another new face join the locker room here this weekend, Landon Steffen. Wonder if you could tell us a little about him and what he brings to the Aberdeen Wings. Yeah,
well, Landon is a player we watched all season in Minnesota high school hockey, and he had a really good year for Roseville. He actually plays on a line with his twin brother. So when we went after Landon, to come in at this time of the year, obviously it's difficult because both the brothers had an outstanding season, but we just felt with a little bit with how Landon played at this time of the year, he's a better fit right now to help our team down the stretch. And he plays with a little meanness to him.
Hit of the game Friday night.
Yeah, he plays with a little meanness to him. He's got a hockey player in him, and obviously his background speaks for itself with his ability to score goals and make plays. So, I mean, he came in 1 week, played 2 games. So, I mean, he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
But he sure looked like he knew what he was doing out there.
Without a doubt. And like I said, hit of the game Friday night, and that was an open ice hit and there were a couple of times actually where I'd see somebody go in, whether it was a reverse hit or whatever, where he wasn't budging and the other guy was going flying. So I was like, this kid is strong and plays that way. So pretty impressive, and hopefully again a big addition. You mentioned his twin brother. I was looking at stats, I think, about 2 weeks ago. I think they each had 29 goals, both of them, 29 goals each. And I was like, man, that's a lot of goals. So that's again a great addition to the Wings. All right, standings right now. Austin, 67 points at the top of the Central Division. Aberdeen, of course, in second right now with 53. Then St. Cloud with 53 as well. North Iowa with 51 as they jump into fourth with a win over St. Cloud yesterday or Sunday. And Minot with 50 points right now in fifth. And Bismarck, 48 points at the bottom of the division. Now, everybody's got 48 games played with the exception of Austin and St. Cloud. They both have 49. An incredibly close Central Division. I don't know that I've ever seen. I mean, it's always close, it's always competitive, but second through sixth to have such a small margin between each position is pretty amazing, and that really makes when you and I have talked about it before in Central Division, every game, every point matters. But when it's that close, that tight, and we're going into the final stretch here, these games really come down to the importance obviously, and it's all coming down to the wire. And you've got Austin coming in. Austin is, as I mentioned, at the top of the Central Division. They're 30, 12, 3, and 4. It's a big opportunity to take some points away from the leader and to hopefully build a little bit, as the Wings continue on and put a little separation between some of these teams. Yeah,
and you have to be good against Austin because you may see them in the playoffs if you're fortunate enough to find your way in. Like you said, any loss right now or any loss of points they're substantial. Yeah. With the amount of movement that's going to go on. I mean, this can go right down to the last week where teams sitting in second or third place can find themselves out of a playoff spot. So every game's important. Our guys know that, and it's not going to be any different with Austin. We're going out there to try to take points. Obviously, they came off a weekend where they split, but game 2 they put up a pretty good amount of goals and didn't give anything up. So they're a good hockey team. They got a lot of guys on there, a lot of Division I players on there. So I think it's a great test.
Well, and you mentioned it. They are, as far as the Central Division goes, they have scored the most goals and have allowed the least. So that's obviously part of the reason they're in first. But they, there's a lot of things that they do well. What have you seen from them? I mean, it's been a little bit since we've seen Austin now.
Well, you can't look past their goaltending.
Yeah.
Their goaltending's been lights out all season. And when they're having tough nights, their goaltenders don't seem to have tough nights. They keep them in it, which is a sign of a good hockey team. But they have scoring up and down their lineup. They have defensemen that can pitch in offensively as well, and they've always been taught over there team defense, and they're always good at team defense. This year they have both, so they're a hard team to play, and I guess we have to look forward to it.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, again, congratulations on a nice win there Saturday night. And I should really say congratulations to Coach Stepan as his first win as a head coach, so to speak, on the bench. I asked him, I was like, would you ever have a chance when you were in Chippewa or any place like that where you were able to? He said, but we lost those games. So he got his first win as a head coach over the weekend there with that 6-1 victory. So again, we're looking forward to seeing Austin. Thanks as always for your time.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, second portion of Wings Weekly comes up after this.
Game time! We're gonna be here all day.
Once upon the greatest of all times.
Who's this? It's Kyler Murray. Kyler. Bring my phone to 6th Street. We gotta wrap this up. We're looking for Kyler! Just left. Janae!
I'll take those wings, though. Wanna catch the game? Yo, Josh, what's up?
Yo, Janae! Josh. To the film room! Yeah! Wow! Wrong quarterback. Can't even see the screen. B-dubs. Where's my phone? Wrong quarterback, bro. To the greatest of all brands!
To the greatest of all times. Buffalo Wild Wings.
A second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, a player is joining me. This time it is Zach Reim of North Oaks, Minnesota. Now, Zach, I'm pretty familiar with Minnesota. I've traveled around a little bit and stuff, but I've never heard of North Oaks. Where is that exactly?
So North Oaks it's about 15 minutes north of St. Paul.
Of St. Paul, okay.
Yeah.
So basically a suburb.
Yeah, north suburb, St. Paul.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. You spent a year in the BC, and then you make your way, to the Aberdeen Wings. I always want to ask guys, how did that process go? How did you end up becoming an Aberdeen Wing?
Just kind of in the summer, you always want to keep looking for a spot that you think would be best for your development and keep moving on. And my advisors reached out to Coach Langer and kind of talked with him a little bit, and then I came here for training camp, and it's been a great fit for me.
What did you know about the Wings before you got here? Was it something that you kind of familiarized yourself with, or maybe a case where, like others, where you've known someone that has played for the Wings before, or at least been familiar with them?
So I'm good friends with Anton Castro, who was obviously the goalie here last year. So he told me a lot, once I started getting interested in coming to Aberdeen, and then being from Minnesota, I kind of know a little bit about the knowledge just when I was younger, and Aberdeen is always one of those top teams, and they were in Minnesota a lot for the Robertson Cup, so kind of learned about them that way too.
Excellent. Okay, good to know. I always ask guys when they got started skating and stuff, but being a Minnesota guy, I'm sure it was pretty early on in your career. So not much of a surprise there. But how do I want to put this? How did you get started? Was there somebody maybe in your family or somebody that kind of influenced you and got you playing the game and teaching you?
I would say it was my dad. I mean, he would take me out to the pond by our house, and that's where I learned how to skate. And then you start playing for your youth association and with all your friends, and kind of grow up with that team and go into high school.
So you weren't one of the guys that had a rink in your backyard?
No, never had a rink in my backyard, but always had a rink close, within walking distance. Right. So I could go. I didn't need mom or dad to drive me to the outdoor rink in the winter. I could be able to walk.
Wow, I just had a memory pop into my mind of being in third grade and walking to a rink that had just been poured, thinking it was going to be frozen, and I stepped onto it and was in shin freezing cold water and had to walk home. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, walk into rinks. There you go. How about? I wanted to add, this is kind of a weird question in a sense, but when you look back at your hockey career and the way you got started and stuff, is there anything that you feel like you would have done differently? Anything that maybe you'd have changed and said, I wish I'd have worked harder at this time or that time, or maybe I would have taken better care of my eating and, your diet or whatever. Is there something that you kind of look back and go, maybe I would have done that a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight being 2020, there's always things that you could change, but, I'm very happy with how I've kind of come up through hockey. I don't think I'd really change anything major other than just minor things that, I wish I would have done this when I was 12 years old.
Taking it a little more seriously or whatever. But you got to have fun with it
exactly.
too. Yeah. That's one of the things, it's always okay, what advice would you give, a young player that is, just getting going in the game? And it's an important thing, but I feel like many times players will say, have fun with it. You don't want to make it become a job.
You have to have fun. When coming to the rink becomes a chore, that's when you don't want to keep doing it. So I think having fun for as long as possible is just a huge key.
Watching, the skate with the Wings after the game there Saturday night, watching guys skate around with kids and stuff, and signing autographs and shaking hands and talking to people and stuff like that. Probably not something that really happens all that much in high school, or obviously as the development leagues continue on. What's that been like for you guys as players, and for you personally, to have that fan interaction and have them kind of surround you on the ice after a game like that?
Yeah, it's super cool, because obviously they support us so much in the stands during games, but just after games, getting to meet all the people and kind of as we do more of these skate with the Wings, you start to see the same people, and it's really cool where it's they come up to you after the games and they have really nice things to say, and a lot of the times they'll come out with sweets after the games, cookies and stuff, which is always really nice for us after games. But yeah, I mean, it's super cool the way we get to know our fans kind of more on a personal level compared to a lot of when they're just behind the glass.
Sure. Well, and that's the same reason why something like this is, pretty important. I know a lot of fans that will tell me that they look forward to the player segment because they get a chance to talk to you, or not talk to you, but to see you and hear a little about you when, as you said, on the other side of the glass. But I wanted to ask that actually because I saw a video of a girl who was talking about how mortified and embarrassed she was because she was, trying to talk to it was a U of M player actually. And I thought, you know what? I bet you're wrong. along. I bet you they love, having got, fans, people come up to them and interact with them after the game. And she was saying, "Oh, I felt so dumb." I'm like, "You shouldn't have." No. Like, they enjoy that. It's
we love it.
Big part of the interaction and the building of fans too. It's funny to me how year in, year out, we see new people coming to Wings games and stuff, and that's important, for the growth of the team and growth of the game as a whole. All right, how about when you're not around the rink? What do you like to do? You got any hobbies? Minnesota, are you a fisherman? Yeah,
fish and golf in the summer. Kind of like to be outside as much as possible during the few months where it's really nice.
Sure.
And then here, a lot of cards with the guys. Just a lot of hanging out after practice, I guess.
Talking with some of the boys, I always got to ask who's the best, who's the poker shark, who's the card shark?
Nick Comfort.
Really?
Yeah, he...
it was back. Everybody was telling me it was Backle.
It was Backle until Comfy got here. And now he's kind of taken over our games a little bit. Yeah, he's a good player.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. Okay. How about, so, like you said, you're hanging out with the guys or whatever. Now, what if you have a day off and you can, the sky is the limit. You can travel, you can do whatever, just snap of your fingers. You can go wherever, you can do whatever you want to do, whether that's go riding a roller coaster or go to an NHL game or whatever it is you want to do. What are you going to choose?
I'm going golfing.
Yeah?
I'm going probably to Florida. I'm going golfing, yeah. Day in the sun.
There you go. All right. I guess that would, my question about whether you'd rather be on a beach or on a mountainside, I think was probably answered right there too. You're right.
Minnesota guy, I like the beach.
Yeah.
I like the beach.
All right. Okay. A couple goofy questions here before we get into Austin and more hockey stuff. But I heard last week, I think it was, that of all the guys in the locker room with some style and with swag, whatever you want to call it, drip, whatever. I hear you are the one that everybody kind of looks to for.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That surprises you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wear pretty basic outfits. I try to be comfortable.
Interesting, because just last week, I think it was, I asked that question. They're like, "Oh, definitely Reimer." So my
hear that though.
Yeah. So my question, now you kind of already answered it, but would you rather be completely overdressed for every event you ever go to? Like where you almost stand out, like practically tuxedo when everyone else is casual, or be completely casual when everybody else is dressed, like overdressed or nicely dressed?
I would probably say overdressed. I don't really like being underdressed.
Yeah.
That kind of, I feel like anxious, I guess, when I'm underdressed compared to everybody else. So I would say overdressed, because then you're ready for anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ready for anything. And better to look better, than like you can't. You know what I mean? Like even if you're not dressed, if you're underdressed, I should say, you're not looking your best. But if you're overdressed, you're always looking your best.
You're always looking your best.
I love that, right? Okay. How about this one? Would you rather be able to read, rather be able to not read at all, can't read anything, or not be able to speak?
Ooh. I would say not be able to read.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to be able to talk. I'm too much of a talker.
See, sometimes there's a method to my madness when I come up with these questions. I hear you on the bus. That's why. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. How about your favorite food? Yeah, one choice, one meal. What's it going to be?
I think I'm having a pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm having a pizza.
Now, follow up. Would you rather have no pizza for an entire year, can't have pizza, or have pizza every day for the entire year?
I think I'd go no pizza.
No?
Yeah. There's too many other good foods.
See, when I ask these questions, I always think to myself, I would get burned out. Like
exactly.
And you don't want to hate it, but you would almost end up hating it after, like, you're starting.
And after that year, it'd be so good when you could have it again.
Right? Yeah. See, now that's good.
The build-up.
That's good thinking right there. All right, yeah, you've got Austin coming up. I just talked to Coach a little bit about what Austin does well, and you guys have seen them. Now, it's been a while, but they're a darn good team, obviously, at the top of the Central Division right now. You guys come off of a big win on Saturday night there, where the third period just kind of an offensive explosion. What do you feel like as a group, as a unit, and this hockey team you've got to do well against Austin? What do you, I'm not going to say what can he do against Austin, because, obviously, like I said, they're a good team. They're going to game plan and all of that. But as a whole, what do you guys have to do?
Well, I think that we really got to put it together for 60 minutes. We got to have, because I think Saturday we were just able to kind of wear down Minot until the dam eventually busted and we were able to score all those goals. And I think that came from a good first 40 minutes. And I think that's kind of going to be similar against Austin. We got to be able to defend really well. They obviously have really good players, so yeah, I think it's going to be putting together our game plan for all 3 periods and kind of wearing them down through the weekend as they have to travel here. So I think we got a little advantage there.
Yeah, and they come off a travel weekend too in Bismarck, and again they got beat Friday night and then came back and won 7-1 on Saturday. And I was like, man, you can never write them off. You can never, they're a good hockey team for sure. All right, well, Zach, that's really about all I've got for you. I know, I always say this, but I know that you guys are busy. I know you're running around. You've got, obviously all of the practice, the meetings, and the workouts and stuff that you have doing, but also or have to be doing, but also away from the rink too. So I really appreciate you taking some time to talk.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, folks, the Wings are back in action at the Odie to finish off a 6-game homestand on March 10th and 11th. Friday, doors open at 5:30 and the puck drops at 7:15. First Responders Night. All first responders get $5 admission tickets at the door, and we welcome Nutrient Ag Solutions as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. Saturday, once again, doors open at 5:30 and the puck hits the ice at 7:15. In the lobby pregame, the South Dakota Snow Queens will be there, and an opportunity for some of the people to come in and talk with them and meet them. Superhero Night and Princess Night encourage kids to dress up, as your favorite superhero or princess or whatever. We also welcome AARP as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. Following the game, we'll have an on-ice autograph signing. Party favors at the door for both games. As always, tickets are available online at tickets.aberdeenwings.com or at the door on game nights. $10 general admission tickets are also available at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase. Just a reminder that all SDAHA players and coaches can receive a $5 general admission ticket at the door all season long. The Aspire and Wings Bowling Bash has been moved to April 2nd, so there's still time for you to sign up for that. Get a group of up to 5 people, and the 6th person will be a Wings player. End of the year Wings Award Banquet tickets are still available. Go to our website and scan the QR code to reserve your seats. The banquet is on April 16th from 6 to 8 at the Yilda Shrine Center. Don't forget, you can listen to Wings Weekly via our podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Once again, Zach Reim, thank you so much for joining us here on Wings Weekly.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this show and this week's Wings Weekly.